we've not podcasted for a whole week. Can you believe that? I do apologise. Been absolutely snowed under with work and so on. And in this session, I want to talk about traffic, about driving traffic to your offers, traffic to your website, about closing business, and about what that is supposed to look like as an entrepreneur. Because really, there's only two ways of actually getting people online to look at your stuff on your website, and we'll break those down and we'll go into a little bit more depth on those, because I think it's really important that people actually understand what it means to run an online business. Like, we've been running an online business for years. In fact, when we had our lettings agency, which was sold back in 2011, gosh, we're almost 15 years after selling that. Wow. But that lettings agency business took off, and we doubled revenues every year for like 5 or 6 years in a row. And one of the reasons for that is because I had a lot of property knowledge, and I also had a lot of IT knowledge and the internet and all of that kind of thing. I could create websites and so on. And it was really funny back in those days. I used to think everybody was creating websites, and obviously not everybody is creating websites. Not everybody's creating content, for example. Less than 1% will live stream, which is amazing when you think of it. You have access to this amazing technology that allows you to go out and talk to all these different people. I was checking our website stats, and I don't think we get a huge amount of website views. But when you actually look at how many people watch our stuff online, it is significant. I mean, you're talking, sometimes it's 1,000 people a day. I think about that for a second. I'm just going to go and have a quick look now. 1,000 people a day. Like, imagine 1,000 people a day running through your shop. Like, that's pretty significant, I think. So the question then comes into, what are you actually doing? In fact, we had a spike. What's that about? We had 64,000 views on one piece of content on one day. Like, I need to have a look and see what that is, but that's a massive spike. And so think about 1,000 people. It doesn't even have to be 1,000 people. I think 1,000 people is quite a lot. People moan, "Oh, I want to get 1,000 people." 1,000 people a day is a significant amount of people. You know, think about who you're up against. You're not up against Mr. Beast, although Mr. Beast gets like 1,000 people a second, right? But you're not up against that. You're not even up against your competitors. When you're streaming out online, you're up against Netflix and playing golf and going to the shops and having a bath and all these other things that someone could do other than consume your content. And when you start getting people to consume your content and they start looking, and you have 10 people a day, 10 people a day, think about that for a second, just 10 people a day watching one of your videos. That's a significant amount. 70 people a week is 300 people a month. And sometimes you're going to get lucky. And let me just go and have a look at stats here. Sometimes you're going to get lucky, and sometimes you're actually going to get people watching a lot of your content. And if it is only 10 people a day, I think that's truly amazing. And so think about that. If it's 30 people in a coffee shop and you get 30 people watching your content, again, we don't get a huge amount. We I'm just looking at live streams here. 25 views, 93 views, 15, 59, 45, 320 views for some reason on one of them. 113, 8, 7, 185, 307, 34. And then when we look at the shorts video and we look at how much views we're getting there, 152, 315, 211, over 1,000 views. Like, think of, like, one video got 1,000 views, and you might go, well, it's not a lot. That's ridiculous. That is a significant amount of people watching your content. People know who you are. You walk in a room and somebody sees you, and they already know who you are because they've seen you online. They've seen you talking. We did an interview last week where we're on somebody else's podcast. This week, where we're on somebody else's podcast show. Some of the facial expressions here are awesome. 107 views, 61 views, 428 views, 221 views, and we're getting various number of views, and we're messing about with what the algorithm wants and seeing. And we noticed, by the way, that some of our views have dropped, like 25 approximately for each video, and we changed it. And we changed it because the type of videos that we're putting out for shorts, and that's actually made quite a big difference. And so this is the point. Okay, there's only two ways of doing it. You've got organic traffic and you've got paid ads. And organic traffic isn't just about, posting pictures of cats and memes and that kind of thing. Now, it can include that. Of course, it absolutely can include that. But if your timeline is just full of um, cats and memes and jokes, and you going to the shops, and that's it. And where's the value for your clients? There is no value. It's just you detailing your life. And whilst that might be quite interesting for some people, there's no value. And so you've got to get some value out there. And so when we take on a content client or a paid ads client or a digital marketing client, one of the first things that we do is we book them in for a 45-minute interview so that we can interview them. They can talk about all the bits that they want to talk about. And then we can pull out all the little short videos, and then we'll go off and we'll schedule them, which I think is really important to do. You should be scheduling. I'm sure you've got in your business words of wisdom and years of experience that if only you could say the words out loud, get it on camera, and then start posting that out. It does an enormous amount of things in terms of building credibility and getting eyeballs on your products. And then it might be that the person doesn't want what you sell today, but in 6 months' time, because you're still putting content out at that point in time when they actually do want what you sell, there you are yet again. And you've been consistent all the way through that 6 months. And we said this in last week's podcast show. We had a client from the Property Networking Club in Manchester, where I was on the expert panel like 12 years ago. That guy bought a website from us like 2 years ago. It took 10 years for that guy to get around to spending some money with us. And the reason is because we disappeared off his radar for a bit, and then we popped back up, and he followed us, and then he's watching us, and then he listens to what we say. And some he will agree with, some he will disagree with. We also try and avoid topics that will really send people one way or the other. So we try and avoid religion. We try and avoid politics. We try and avoid I don't know, what else do we avoid? Politics, religion. There's a lot of things that will turn people on or turn people off from me. And anything around in that area, that's what we avoid. Because if we're a digital marketing agency, who cares what we think about Donald Trump? Like, it's irrelevant. Unless we're really like far right or far left, or we're really racist, or I don't know what the opposite of racist is. Nice, I suppose. I don't really know. But if you've got these extreme views, you kind of want to keep those to yourself. But if you've got views about, we're a digital marketing agency, so we should be talking about organic traffic and paid ads and landing page, and that's what we go live about. And then, sometimes people come on, they have a moan, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I never asked for this. And it's like, well, you're the one watching you're the one watching it. You don't have to watch it, And so you should be talking about the stuff that's close to you. You should be talking about, if you're doing wills for people, you should talk about wills and all of that kind of thing, and demonstrating your expertise and explaining why people need a will. Or, you can talk about anything. You should be live streaming constantly, at least once a day, definitely once a week, ideally once a week, minimum once a week. And if you can get live streaming once a day, we've done it, by the way, and it is very, very tiring, and it does lead to a little bit of burnout. But what we find is that when we go live, we have a balance between our live streams and our short little videos. And then sometimes we might have some pre-recorded stuff that we send out there as well. We've had less of that simply because we've just not had time, really, because we've been so busy with clients and things. But you should be out there putting as much content out as possible. And if you can put content out that's going to help people, even if it's like a workshop and only 2 people turn up to that workshop, seriously, who cares? You should be doing that workshop every Thursday night for 45 minutes for the next 10 weeks. And just put that out there and go and see the sort of results that you're going to get. And those results sometimes aren't immediate, especially on organic traffic. They're not immediate. But what happens is, and I was just looking at our stats on YouTube, actually, and we're looking at them for the last 90 days, and it goes like this, it goes like that, and then suddenly it takes a big spike, and this big chunk of people, like, so here, was it yesterday, Thursday the 10th? Yesterday, we had 824 people yesterday, 634 the day before, 770 the day before. Last week we had 907, and then I'm just looking at the previous week, right? 102, 90, 101. much lower. And it's because we've made some changes to the type of content that we put out. And so, people go, oh no, I just want to do videos that's going to get a load of views. Like, don't we all? But you don't really know who that is until you actually start producing videos and you're seeing what videos get the right views and what's not getting the right views. And then you can change what you're doing and adapt it so that then you start to get more views. And you know what? One of the big things for me is, views and engagement. Oh, we need 1,000 views per video. No, you don't. How many strategy calls are you getting? We operate off strategy sessions. How many sales are you getting? We've just had a sale pop in while I've been live, which is amazing. Right, one of our £27 property sourcing products. Whoever bought that, thank you, really appreciate it. But you've got to be putting content out to be able to see what works and see what doesn't work. And you actually don't know what works and doesn't work because the number of views is a really bad metric. Like, are you breaking even? Are you making profit? That for me is a much better metric. And before we get to profitability, one of the metrics that's really important to me is how many strategy sessions have we got? How many deals have we got in our pipeline? We have a pipeline system so I can see who I need to follow up and chase, basically, people who've already had strategy sessions with, how many strategy sessions we've got. It's all in there. So I've got that information so I can go out and follow up with an email. We have their phone numbers, drop them a quick text or a phone call, whatever, right? But this is where you've got to have these, you've got to be tracking the stats. Like, yeah, we look at how many views you're getting because it's an indicator, but that's as far as it goes. It is simply an indicator. The number of strategy sessions is also an indicator. And we have a high conversion rate, but sometimes we get people on the strategy calls who simply haven't got the money, but just starting out in business. Will we still do a strategy call with them? Absolutely. It's just that they might not be able to work with us because they can't allocate the funds. We haven't got the money yet. And so maybe they'll sign up for group coaching or something else. So the number of views is just a KPI, it's a key performance indicator. The number of strategy sessions is also a KPI, a key performance indicator. The absolute best golden key performance indicator in my business is how much money have we made this month? What's our revenue this month? How many people are signing up for the newsletter, for the email is a KPI. It's just an indicator. It doesn't determine whether you're going to be profitable or not this month. Yeah, if you can 10x that and get 10 times as many people on your email marketing list, then yeah, you've got a better chance of making more money this month. But again, it's just an indicator. And so I don't think you should get so focused on views. I would much rather you got focused on, well, how many videos have I produced this week? Like, it's Friday today. We had an interview on a podcast on somebody else's, and this is my first live stream this week, which is really not good enough, but we've just been so busy. Which is a really poor excuse, by the way. And I would tell one of my clients that's a shit excuse, and it's the same for you as well. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes maximum in order to just go live stream, right, and talk about stuff and share your expertise. But what's really important is I don't think you should be looking at how many views. I would rather you live stream every single day for the next 4 weeks and get one person watching that live stream, because it will build up. We had a guy and he said, have you got a YouTube channel? Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. Okay, how many videos have you done? Oh no, I've not created any videos, but I don't have any subscribers. And I'm like, oh, dude, you don't get subscribers just because you got a channel. You get subscribers because they like your content. Let's have a look at our subscribers, actually. We don't get a huge amount of subscribers, but 5, yes, in the last 28 days. We don't get a massive amount of subscribers. And I think something like 85% of all our YouTube views are non-subscribers. And that's totally fine, but that's reflective then on the number of views that we're actually getting. But again, it's irrelevant. How many of those people actually sign up? Think about that. YouTube subscribers, we got 5 in the last 28 days. I'm actually quite happy about that. 5 people actually subscribe and want to hear the content. That's pretty good, right? That's the first step in the sales process. So when you're talking about organic content, you've got to be live streaming, and then you've got to repurpose some of that content. You've got to put that out there. So it goes across all sort of platforms. So for example, right now we don't live stream to Twitter because we have to pay, and I'm not paying Twitter anything, frankly. And we can't live stream on TikTok because we were able to, and then for some reason we're not able to. Even though our live streams are, we're not exactly adult in any way. We don't swear, the odd swear word maybe, but anyway. So we'll take repurposed content and we'll shove that out onto Twitter and TikTok, and that's fine. That's how people can see our stuff. And in fact, if I actually have a look at our TikTok views, I can already tell you how much they are. 750 views per video. I already know that, and you might be like, well, how do you already know that, Dan? And it's because TikTok throttles how many views we get. It's basically how it works on TikTok. Let me just have a look we get quite a few likes actually. Where are we? Profile, I think. So if I go and have a look at TikTok, yeah, 761, 776, 770, 800, 266, 764. It's basically about between 750 and 800. And that's fine. That's okay. We're okay with that. And actually, those numbers have gone up because we were about 250 and we just changed the type of content that we're putting out. Yeah. And so because of the changing content, that's actually helped. But again, you've got to put content out so that then you can see what's working and what's not working. And this is the thing with organic content, is that when you produce organic content, generally it's going out to people who already know who you are. They might be subscribers or the people who see your content on a regular basis and so on. The second part of that is how do you reach people who don't know who you are? So if you've only got 200 friends on Facebook or 200 contacts on LinkedIn or whatever that happens to be, how do you get more people to see that you exist and start looking at your offers? And there's only one way of doing that, really, and that's through paid advertising of some kind. And that could be a billboard on a bus, it could be leaflet drops, or we, for example, for us, we use Facebook ads quite a lot, and we have a great return on investment. We've got what's called a self-liquidifying self-liquidating offer. So our property sourcing training, which we sell for £27, for example, it used to cost us £14 to close a client. Now, because we're optimizing all the ads and landing pages and so on, it's £8. So out of a £27 product, we make £19 profit. Where do you think that money goes, that £19 profit? We don't spend it on mojitos, although that's not a bad idea, and cheesecake, also not a bad idea. But we actually take that £19 and we'll go and we'll spend that money onto more adverts. So it self-liquefies and we're able to build up. And the more we sell, the more advertising, which means the more we sell, which is a really cool way of doing it, of course. It's a self-liquidating offer. And if you don't know how to do that, you should speak to us. The link's down below. Go and take a look. But that advertising pays for the rest of our other advertising, which means we get to run ads on Facebook. Doesn't cost us any money. Because we've got a self-liquidating offer. Can't never say it right. We've got a self-liquidating offer that covers all our ad spend. How cool is that, by the way, folks? Really cool. But the only way you can do that is you've got to start running adverts to a self-liquidating offer. £27 works well. We have a £7 offer. We've got a £17 offer. And all of that works very well. We get people buying that stuff. It covers all our ad spend. But you know what's the biggest thing here? The biggest bit that gets the best results is a combination of organic traffic and Facebook ads traffic. Because the organic traffic, that builds trust. So when you go onto my Facebook page, for example, we use Facebook mostly. LinkedIn's just spam city, so we tend not to use it. So we get most of our clients from Facebook and Facebook ads. But what happens is they see the Facebook advert and then, yeah, they might click the advert and look at the offer, but then they go back to Facebook and they click my name and then they're scrolling down my timeline and my profile. And there, as they're scrolling down it, because it all goes through my Facebook page, they see video after video after video, all organic content. And it's not just video, but they see some text stuff. Sometimes it'll have a video that says, 3-step process to creating cash flow in your business. Read the caption. And then they'll go and look at the caption. That goes out on LinkedIn, it goes out on Instagram, it goes out on TikTok, and it goes out on Twitter and so on. And so people will see all that. And what that does is that organic traffic builds a level of trust with them because they go through like months worth, like 6 to 12 months worth. They'll just keep scrolling through your timeline and they can see just how consistent you've actually been. And therefore, because of that consistency, they're much more likely to buy from you because you've been so consistent over a long period of time. And actually what happens for most people is they get going, they get started, and then they go, oh, that doesn't work, and so they stop. And then they get started again, and then they stop, and they get started, and then they stop. And then people do this with adverts. We spoke to a guy on a strategy session. We couldn't help because he couldn't afford us, unfortunately. Not even that expensive, really. But he was running ads himself, and that's fine. But he was turning ads on and switching them off, switching different ads on and switching them off. And it's like, no, dude, let the ads run. Facebook has a learning curve that takes 2 weeks. So if you switch an advert on, Facebook is out actively looking for people that's likely to 1, click on your advert and 2, buy. But if you're switching them on, switching them off, that's not going to allow you to do that. And so you're just going to blow through your entire budget, which is what he's doing, which is why he can't afford our Facebook ads, which is crazy. Because actually, if he just saved that money for a few months and then came over to us, he'd get a much better return on investment on those Facebook ads, because now he'd actually get clients that were paying for the Facebook ads, but pay him, that would pay for the Facebook ads, which meant we could then ramp up the Facebook ads. And this is what a lot of people do. They get it wrong. And I understand they get it wrong. They don't want to pay, £600 a month to us for the management and the creation and the split testing and all that stuff. I don't want to pay that. And I get it. But unfortunately, if you're not paying us, you're paying Facebook on adverts that actually aren't doing the conversion that you're hoping for, because really most people don't know how to run Facebook ads. Like, you might be running Facebook ads, but really, do you know how to run them? Usually not. And we're lucky because we've got quite a few Facebook ad clients, and we spend quite a lot of money every single month, tens of thousands of pounds every single month on Facebook ads on our clients' behalf. We've got all this experience in all these different industries, which means we actually know what we're doing. But we can't take on a client and run Facebook ads and just expect the Facebook ads to work without the organic content. We still want the organic content. This is why we upsell the client to the full package, because we still have to get that organic content. Because people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And it's that trust factor, especially in 2025, because trust is out the window. Tariffs on, tariffs off, tariffs on, tariffs off, on a whim of a madman. We said we stay away from politics, but you know what I mean? Like, the world doesn't know what's going on right now. I've got Forex trades going on. Gosh, it's a very challenging time to trade Forex. Tariffs on, tariffs off, going up, going down, going up, going, like, nobody knows what's going on. It's very, very challenging. But you've got to have paid ads, you've got to have organic traffic, and just finally, so you want both of those going at the same time, but finally, as well as those two, you've absolutely got to have a converting landing page, ideally with a low ticket offer, like a £27 offer, 15 quid, whatever that's going to be, because that will pay for some of the adverts. And then people will buy the low ticket offer. They're then going to watch your training course. They then get to know you. So, for example, people will watch my training courses. When they then come on a strategy call, they already know what I look like. They know what I sound like. They know what my quirks are, my bizarre sense of humor, for example. Maybe it's bizarre, maybe it's not. But they understand all that. And then when we get them on a call, there's no barriers to remove, because the barriers have already been removed. There's no trust to build, because they already trust me. They already know what we're going to talk about. Really, they're looking for confirmation of what they're hoping for, and confirmation of pricing, and a fuller understanding of how that works. The reason why all that works and why our conversion rate is so high is because of all the organic content that we put out, and the Facebook ads, which reaches people that isn't seeing our organic content. And that's why it works so well. And that's why you need to be going live at least once a week, ideally once a day. But it's also why you want to be repurposing some of that content, and why you also want to be running Facebook ads to low ticket offers. You get that combination right there, your business is going to explode in 2025. All right. I hope you find that useful round today. Got lots of work to finish off before we finish for the week. And we have got mojitos at 5 p.m, which is 3 hours away for me. So looking forward to that. Anyway, I hope you find that useful. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll speak to you next week. My name's Dan Latter. Have a great day.